Evolved Godzilla. Godzilla evolved with his atomic breath or atomic beam. Start shooting it up into the sky, kind of a thing, right? Well, it'll probably go out off the corner of my page. You could do them lower down if you wanted to like fit more beam in. So, but I just wanted to like get more of his fins and more of his body and the structure of the actual guy. So, or girl. Let's give it a go. Landscape page, pencil eraser, hit pause if I go too fast. So we're going to start with the head and particularly that pink eye. Grain of rice or an almond sort of shape. It's kind of glowing pink, right? So you can't really see irises or pupils, but I like to give Godzilla this sort of snake-like thing. Just me. I think it's officially sort of round. You know, in the movie. But I just think it looks cooler with this one. So, then we have this like frown, right? That comes around at the top of the eye. So it's like this wrinkling, sort of frowning area. This eventually joins like all the spikes on the back of the neck. So it goes like off this way. And it's kind of like bumpy and spiky sort of on top here. It eventually does become like really spiky back here as we go down and join the large spikes that are back here. But I'll just stop it there for a minute. We'll get the rest of the head structure in. So top eyelid there. And like then his nose sort of comes out this way. And he's got sort of, what would you call, kind of like bags around the eye, but they're not really bags. They're like just like sections of the cheek. And like some of them have like spikes on them like this as well, especially in the evolved version of Godzilla. And then the nose is real square up the top. It's a real square nose. And then the nostril kind of comes down this way. It's kind of bigger at the top here. Maybe like some spikes and bumps and stuff, wrinkles on top as well. And then he tends to have like another sort of wrinkly mouth kind of area that comes down here. And this can have sort of spikes on the edge. Again, especially because it's the evolved sort of version. Seems to be more spiky, especially on the side of the face there. Right, so then the mouth line kind of goes this way, right? And it is a bumpy sort of thing because all the teeth seem to grow out from the skin. Like there's not so much of a gum line per se. It's got this big sort of mouth. And then kind of comes in this way. Again, I'm doing it bumpy just so we can add the teeth. And there's like a skin section that holds the bottom and top jaw together. Like a flap of skin here. And then the bottom jaw comes this way, and then it gets sort of bumpy coming around here. And a square chin. Like so, right? So the rest of this jaw starts to come out here, and then it gets real spiky sort of out around here, right? And some of them sort of overlap, so there's like a couple of levels of spikes. And you just do a line sort of up the middle of them there. And these kind of just join the jaw, and there's all these textures and wrinkles and everything, so we'll just do some wrinkly lines on him, just following his gum shape and everything. So you're just like doing these broken sort of lines, going up that way a bit as well. You can do as much of this as you want, of course. Don't like that one, that long one that I did. Sorry, I'm just gonna remove a bit of that. I went too far. I just went too far, I lost control. So just more like broken lines. I did that continuous line for some reason. Wasn't a good idea. Then like dots and circles and dirt and stuff on his face. When we're close up on Godzilla like this, you can add a bit more detail, you know. Okay, so then his teeth. So they're kind of like small, I guess. Yeah, not crazy big. And then there's like some skin lines and stuff just in here. And the tongue sort of sticks out this way. Oh yeah, teeth down here. Smaller teeth even. Okay, that's the head, right? So we got to move down the body now and start adding scales and armor and all sorts. So the front of Godzilla's neck tends to come down from his jaw or his chin, just here. And there's this sort of armor plate section. That's what I call it anyway, going down that way. And then the back of the neck is very aggressively spiky, right? So it's like a huge big zigzag section that eventually joins like all those coral reef sort of things that are on the back as well, right? So very spiky here at first, because it's like the spikes that are on the side of the neck. And then this kind of gets a bit bumpy and textured because we got all the big pink lines then, right? And so this is kind of just like a random sort of bumpy shape, right? So it's like the back of his body, and then the front of the chest will sort of bring itself here, and then the shoulder there, and then like an arm and the chest there, right? Other shoulder is here, I think. Yeah, so like big shoulder sort of shape here. And there's like more spikes and all sorts of stuff here. We'll just get the main shape in. Bicep, tricep, and elbow looks like there, right? So coral, we'll get the coral in. Don't forget that. The spikes, the pink energy back here. we're going to start the first one. Where's it? Across from his jaw there. Okay, so they start small at first, but then they get much larger and they kind of start overlapping one another. Right. And of course these are like all glowing. And this one goes behind this one. So they're like these big random shapes, really. Bumpy, sort of wavy. And then back here, what way is that going? It spikes up there, down. We meet another one. Going off that way. They kind of like bleed into one another a little bit here now. There's all these textures on them. Okay, so layers of spikes now, scales and everything in here, then the breath. So he's got like 3 rows of spikes that come down and join loads of spikes here. So I guess the outer one first, right? So we just go like this sort of zigzag line, right? And when you get down to about the shoulder level, it'll sort of disappear into this sort of mountain range of spikes, like real big, right on the shoulder. At least that's what it looks like to me anyway. Very big spikes in here. And then there's another row. Seems like just coming down here, right? Right, like that. And then this has, you know, scales and stuff in between these sort of curved scale lines. Right, so, and then armor on the front. So like this section of armor, it's always normally this kind of a shape. right? And then you have little sort of lines of armor overlapping like that, and there's like a chest muscle area there, and then the scales and like gills that sort of are on his neck. For breathing underwater, and there's like little sort of edge lines to these, and these will be glowing pink as well. We have another sort of section of armor here in the middle of the chest, kind of like abs or turtle shell sort of situation there. Okay, and now textures all over the body. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to like what we did in the face, like you're going to add sort of some lines that follow along, going down, right? So vertical ones. But you want to like curve them and stuff over the shoulder, say like this. And they're like little broken lines, basically, like this, that follow the sort of shape of him. So any of his limbs or anything like that, you want to add these broken lines, and then you want to ones that go across this way. So these ones like came down, you know, and then you ones that come across. So all these sort of broken ones. It's like you're throwing a net on top of Godzilla, right? And like on the shoulder here, see the way they're like curving around the shoulder? Gives the thing sort of form. It's like if you've ever seen like a picture of the earth, you know, a map, sort of a situation where the lines curve across rather than just straight ones. It's called a vector as far as I know. Right, and you could do more than that. You could do circles, you know, like a little scar somewhere. Very bumpy, scaly skin. And like these spikes have all textures and everything in between them, and so it's really up to you how much detail you want to put into this now. You could keep going for hours and hours if you wanted, of course. But I think that's good enough for me anyway, for what we were trying to achieve. So then, his atomic breath, it seems to me like in this, it's like more unstable or something. It's like, it goes kind of wild. Is that right? Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how it looks in the movie to me. So coming out from his mouth, right, we'll just do this kind of like spiky sort of crazy atomic breath, right? And we want it to get sort of like wider. You want it to be sort of, it gets like more spread out as we go. Okay, so you just go like random sort of. And then like there'll be like bits of energy that escape, like come off this way. And then like some like lines like inside here. Right. But that's it really. Bright pink. Godzilla evolved atomic breath. Hope it's helpful. Thanks for watching. See you next one. Bye.